If you think buying land in the USA is just about spotting a cheap listing online and making a quick purchase, you're already standing at the edge of one of the most misunderstood traps in real estate. Because the truth is simple but uncomfortable. The price you see on the listing is never the real cost of buying land. And most people only realize this after they've already signed the papers. They imagine future profits, development potential, maybe even building a dream home or flipping it for double the price. But what they don't see are the hidden layers of expenses, restrictions, and long-term commitments that slowly turn a cheap deal into an expensive burden. In this video, we're breaking down exactly how buyers get blindsided by land costs, so you don't repeat the same mistakes that cost thousands of dollars to fix later. Because in real estate, smart investors don't just ask, how much does it cost? They ask, what is the full cost from purchase to usability to exit? Let's start with something every land buyer underestimates: property taxes. Vacant land taxes might look small at first glance, but they are not always stable or predictable. Depending on the state, county, zoning classification, and development plans in the area, those taxes can change over time. You might buy land in a quiet rural area thinking it will stay cheap forever, but as soon as development starts nearby, new roads, housing projects, commercial expansion, the land value increases, and so do your taxes. That means your holding cost rises every year whether you develop the land or not. And here's the important part: you must pay those taxes regardless of whether the land is producing income. If you don't, penalties start stacking, and in extreme cases, you can even lose the property entirely through tax foreclosure. So that cheap land suddenly becomes a long-term financial responsibility that never stops charging you. Next, we move into one of the biggest hidden traps in land buying: zoning laws and land use restrictions. This is where many beginners get completely blindsided. Just because land is for sale does not mean you can do whatever you want with it. Every parcel of land in the USA is controlled by zoning regulations that determine what is allowed and what is not. You might think you can build a house, start a rental property, place a mobile home, or even use it for commercial purposes. But zoning can completely block your plans. Some land is strictly agricultural, some is conservation land, some has environmental restrictions, and some requires expensive permits before you can even place a foundation. And the worst part is that this information is not always clearly explained in listings. You often have to dig into county records, zoning maps, and legal documents to understand what you are actually buying. Many people skip this step, and that's how they end up owning land they cannot use the way they intended. Now let's talk about something even more dangerous for beginners: raw land development costs. When people hear raw land, they imagine a blank canvas ready to build on. But in reality, raw land usually means no utilities, no water, no electricity, no sewage system, and sometimes even no legal road access. And turning that empty piece of dirt into usable property can be extremely expensive. Bringing electricity to remote land can require utility extensions that cost thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. If there's no city water, you may need to drill a private well. If there's no sewer connection, you might need a septic system installed, which is another major expense. Even something as basic as building a driveway can cost more than expected, depending on terrain and distance. So a piece of land that looks like a $10,000 opportunity can easily turn into a $40,000 to $70,000 project before you even lay the first brick of a house. And then there's the issue of access, something many buyers don't even think about. Not all land comes with legal road access. You might physically be able to reach it through a dirt path, a neighbor's property, or an informal route, but legally that does not always mean you have the right to access it. This is called landlocked property, and it can create serious legal and financial complications. If you don't have a recorded easement, you may need to negotiate with neighboring landowners or go through legal processes just to secure access. Without access, your land could become almost useless for development or resale. Many first-time buyers miss this completely because they assume if I can walk there, I own access. But in real estate law, that is not how it works. Now let's talk about surveys, inspections, and legal verification costs. Before developing or even confidently reselling land, you often need a professional land survey to confirm exact boundaries. Without it, you risk disputes with neighbors or building in the wrong area, which can lead to expensive legal problems. Surveys can cost anywhere from a few hundred to thousands of dollars depending on size and terrain. On top of that, you may need legal help to review deeds, easements, restrictions, and title history. Title issues are more common than most people expect, especially with older land parcels or inherited properties. If there is any dispute or unclear ownership history, resolving it can take time, money, and legal effort that far exceeds the original purchase price. And speaking of ownership, closing costs are another silent expense that catches people off guard. When buyers focus only on the listing price, they forget that the closing process includes multiple fees: title insurance, escrow charges, recording fees, administrative costs, and sometimes transfer taxes. Individually, these might not seem huge, but together they can add thousands of dollars to your total investment. This is money you must pay up front before you even officially own the property. So the real cost of land is never just the advertised price, it's the price plus all these hidden transaction costs. Now let's look at long-term holding costs, because owning land is not a one-time payment, it's an ongoing financial responsibility. Even if you do nothing with the land, you still have to pay property taxes every year, and if the land is not generating income, you're essentially paying out of pocket just to keep it. Many buyers assume land will naturally appreciate over time, but that is not guaranteed. Some areas grow fast, others stay stagnant for years, and some even lose value depending on market trends and development direction. So you could end up holding land for years while paying taxes and maintenance without any return on investment. And another hidden factor is liquidity, which is how easily you can sell your land. Unlike houses in high-demand markets, raw land can take a long time to sell. Sometimes it sits for months or even years without serious buyers. And when you finally need to sell quickly, you may have to reduce the price significantly just to attract interest. That means your exit strategy might come at a loss, which is another hidden cost most beginners don't plan for. Real estate is not just about buying, it's about how easily you can get your money back when needed. When you add everything together, taxes, zoning restrictions, utilities, access issues, surveys, legal fees, closing costs, holding expenses, and liquidity risks, you start to see the real picture. The actual cost of buying land is often much higher than the listing price, sometimes double or even more depending on location and conditions. And that's exactly how people get blindsided. They focus on the cheap entry price and ignore the expensive reality that comes after purchase. But the goal of understanding this is not to scare you away from buying land, it's to make you smarter than the average buyer, because land can still be one of the most powerful wealth-building assets in real estate when you buy it the right way. The difference between losing money and building wealth is preparation. Smart buyers always research zoning before purchase, verify legal access, calculate development costs, check utilities availability, and understand exit strategy before committing. They don't buy based on emotion or hype, they buy based on full cost analysis. If you take only one lesson from all of this, let it be this: cheap land is rarely truly cheap. The real cost is hidden in details most people ignore. And in real estate, what you don't know will always cost you more than what you paid for the property.